Hey everybody, this is Troy over at Uncomfortable Truths. Thanks for checking me out. So Dana White just spoke up about what happened with Sean Strickland during an interview. So Sean Strickland, he's a UFC fighter, obviously, and he was talking to a reporter, and this reporter was asking some questions about some LGBTQ stuff. And apparently, the spot to find a diversity question is now in UFC interviews, and he did not like the response that he was given. I think this originally started because there was a question about Bud Light in response to their, trans commercials or whatever. And I just want to put my 2 cents here on this because I tend to remember this guy, Colin Kaepernick, taking a knee, and everybody lost their minds saying that this wasn't acceptable and he should stand. And people like myself were saying, well, this is kind of an issue of freedom of speech. While you might not agree with what this person is saying, of course, he has every right to, make his statement in whatever way he deems fit. And if you don't like that, well, you don't have to participate by watching the sport. You don't have to buy tickets. And very similarly, that's exactly how I feel about the Bud Light issue. Like, if you don't want to support the agenda that they're pushing, then simply don't buy Bud Light. First off, Bud Light tastes like cat piss anyway. So I don't really see any reason why it's that much of a loss. But if you are so opposed to the message that they're putting out, you simply don't have to buy their product. And if you don't support what Sean Strickland is saying, then don't watch him. And I would also like to point out that though he did say a lot about the gay community that is getting the majority of the press, he also was talking quite a bit about the trucker shutdowns, talking about how Justin Trudeau has basically been functioning as an authoritarian that didn't get nearly enough attention. In my mind, that's at least where the most interesting stuff was, because that's obviously what we do here is we talk about politics. And so the idea that the trucker protest wasn't an overreach by government is absolutely ridiculous. So I 100% support everything he had to say on that front. So anyway, we'll get into what Dana White said. So Dana White was asked by a reporter about, what Sean Strickland had been saying. And the person said kind of a weird thing, said, well, you give your, fighters a long leash. And Dana White just shut him down right there. And he's like, first of all, I don't give anybody a leash. Free speech. To control what people say and to tell people what to believe. I don't tell anyone else what to say or what to think. And there's no leashes on any of them. So that's the liberal position. I hate to break it to people on the left that want to go around talking about, how horrible Sean Strickland is and how horrible it is that Dana White's letting him say these things. No, that's the liberal position. That's the position that you were supposedly repping until about 5 minutes ago. So all of a sudden now you have an athlete that doesn't agree with you, who's saying things that you don't like, and you want him to be shut down. Well, I hate to break it to you, but that's not a principled stance. So if you're taking this stance, it shows that you have a lack of principle, at least when it comes to the issue of freedom of speech. It's not something that you're actually all that interested in, because the measure of whether or not something is a principle is whether or not you would continue to stand by that value, even when it doesn't go in favor of your preferences. So you don't like what he's saying. And now if you're one of the people that wants to shut him down, you're a hypocrite. It's really that simple. There's nothing else to it. And another thing is, why are you even looking to a UFC fighter for some sort of diversity statement? These are people that are trained athletes that spend all of their time working out and practicing at their sport. They're not necessarily all that focused primarily on politics or on the social issues of the day. So if you're going to be offended by an answer that you don't agree with, don't ask the question. It really is a pretty simple concept. So I'm 100% in favor of these guys saying whatever they want to say, because that is the issue of free speech, and that is something that we take a principled stance with over here. So if you don't like it, don't watch it. If you don't like what the UFC says, don't go to UFC events. Don't give them any money. But I'm really curious as to why you think that it's appropriate for reporters to be getting into arguments with these people and then throwing a fit afterwards and trying to get this guy to have some sort of consequence. Like when you have a reporter going up to Dana White saying, oh, so you're giving them a long leash. Why do you think they're asking a question like that? The question is being brought up so that they can say, well, maybe you should rein him in a little bit because this isn't a place that we should go to. I mean, that's kind of the underlying issue. And honestly, it's gross. Just come out and say, hey, you shouldn't be allowed to say those things. We're not really into that sort of free speech, and you should fire him for it. You have a, private business, so you have every right to go ahead and do that. The reason they don't want to come out and say it is because then it looks as hypocritical as it actually is. So people want to have their cake and eat it too, and that isn't the way this works. The same protection that allows Colin Kaepernick to decide whether or not he's going to kneel is the same thing that allows Sean Strickland to say whatever it is that he wants to say. So you don't get one without the other. Freedom of speech actually doesn't exist to just go around and say that, hey, puppies are wonderful and rainbows are beautiful. That isn't what freedom of speech is. Freedom of speech largely means that lots of people are going to be pissed off a lot of the time. It means you're going to listen to things that you don't like to hear. It means you're going to say things that other people don't want to listen to. And frankly, that's one of the beauties of America. You still don't have to listen to them, but yeah, you're going to run across things that you don't like and you don't agree with. Well, unfortunately, that's the double-edged sword of freedom of speech. And for those of you that don't like it, just come out and admit it. You don't like free speech. So anyway, everybody, thank you so much for watching the show. I appreciate the heck out of all of you. Hit like and subscribe. It helps out a ton. And we'll talk to you soon. Take care.